Good morning, Unity. The music stopped and my wife was waving me over here, so I guess that was my cue. I apologize. I'm a slow learner. As you can see, today is going to be a very exciting day. We have something new and exciting for you today. I'm Jim DeFontis. I'm the president of the board. And on behalf of the board, the ministry, and the community, we wish to welcome everyone here. Those who are on campus, as well as those of you who are online in the virtual presence. Thank you guys for being here. We have a wonderful service today. And for those of you who pay attention, and there are just a few of you who pay attention, you may have noticed that our order of service changes a little bit, and sometimes the content that was in one goes to another part, and that's because we're evolving. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that it makes sense, that what we begin with, like the board report, gets done and you can get into the flow. But then we have other things with welcoming new members and things like that we're going to be shifting into different spots. So bear with us. We're trying to make sense of it. Our new spiritual ministry team and Mary Jean are helping us move into that space. So for today's order of service, we're fortunate to have our own Carol Roman, as always. Thank you, Carol. Susan K. Wyatt will be singing for us. Where's Susan? Hi, Susan. And then Shara is back. She'll be with us for the next 2 Sundays. She drove in from Albuquerque Friday. So we're delighted to have her here. And then we have a very special chaplain dedication today, which will be presented, and you can see our prayer chaplains over here with their new leader, Jean-Claude, their old leader, Jim Perry, and then their boss, Mary Jean, or maybe all of our boss, right? The boss of bosses, Mary Jean, with Shara, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Shara's teaching today will be abundance through the eye of the needle, so I know that you're looking forward to it as I am. Have a couple of announcements. For those of you who are unaware, yesterday we had a celebration of life for one of our most beloved, Joan Hill. And Joe is here with us today. Where's Joe? There's Joe. Joe, thank you so much for sharing your family and that sacred time and experience with all of us. It was absolutely probably the most beautiful thing that's happened on this campus in over a year and a half. So thank you so very much. We had 100 people in the sanctuary and probably 10 to 20 people outside. It was a beautiful celebration of Joan's life. What a remarkable person she was. With her children coming up and speaking. And of course, we got to hear from number 1 son, number 2 son, favorite son and daughter. It was cute. And then we had butterfly release. So it was a wonderful day. Thank you, Joe. There's some leftover sandwiches from the luncheon yesterday, so after service, for those of you who are interested, Susan will have some on the table for you that you can take home with you. By popular demand, we'll have another virtual stone soup. Amy will be hosting that, and that will be May 21st. So for those of you interested in sharing a song, playing an instrument, reading a story, or any other amazing talent that you may have, please contact Amy and she'll put you in the queue. But you got to do it now. You know Amy. It probably at 4 o'clock today, it might be a little late. So you got to get to her immediately if you're interested on that. Also next Sunday, we have something very interesting. Shara and Fabian will be hosting Emerging into the New, coming out of the COVID era with intention from 1 to 2:30. What this is going to be really, if you can imagine, it's going to be a burning bowl ceremony. So, they'll walk you through it, but it's going to be a lot of fun putting something on paper about that experience and then burning it. So I think a lot of people are going to be interested in that, and we're thanking you for bringing that and making that available. This is an important announcement. March 16th at 12:30, we're going to have another community meeting. March. This is an early announcement for 2022, March. We will be having, I just don't want you guys to miss it. Thank you. Yeah, what year is it? So where am I? All right, May 16th this year, after the Sunday service here, we're going to have a community meeting. It will also be online, so we're going to try to figure out how to do that. So you're going to have to bear with us. It's going to be Zoom online if we can do it, and the people here. We're going to do it like the other community meetings where I'll start off doing a president's report, then each one of the board members will go over their operations and the things that they're running. But what's important and most relevant for you is we're going to be making a change to the bylaws. Now, I am hoping this isn't going to be controversial. Mary Jean sent this out to you guys Friday. We're just changing one part, and it's how we elect the board members. As you know, we were in pandemic and shutdown. You weren't able to do it the normal way. So they had to do it in an unusual new way last time. That's how you got all of us. Sorry. Sorry for that. But what we're trying to do is basically replicate that system so that everyone that is an active member of the church can vote. You don't have to be at an annual meeting to do that. That you don't have to be nominated at the annual meeting to be eligible, that you can self-nominate, and there's a process. And we'll be electing a community member to be the chairperson of what we're calling the election committee. It's no longer the nomination committee. So we're hoping it's going to be transparent, it's going to be democratic, and it's going to be something that you guys embrace and are supportive of. So please take a look at that, and at the community meeting, we'll have the opportunity to talk about whatever Kirk and Mary Jean and I missed when we redid it. All right, then the last thing Aaron wanted me to announce is, as all of you know, Unity of Tustin is a proud supporter of the Sunday Supper program, which helps provide nutritious meals to low-income seniors, families, homeless men and women, and children. They're struggling right now. The COVID has really put a dent in their activity, in the donations, and the support that they've been receiving. So we're asking that you guys, as we're emerging out, that you lend a hand. $10 gift cards from fast food restaurants and grocery stores are a real big deal to them. So if you're able to do that and then just drop it in the office, that would be wonderful. You know, we're in-reaching today with our community, but most spiritual communities really, their value is outreaching to the community. So this is one of the things that we do, and we're asking for your help in that regard. So with that, I won't take any more of your time, and I'll hand it off to Annette with Shirley the Presence. Thank you guys for being here. Love.
Good morning, Unity. It's a beautiful day. Blue sky, clouds all over. Sit back, relax, and open your hearts. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
And as we light this Christ candle, we can feel that surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. And let us take a moment to center in the abundance that takes your breath away when you look at the rose garden in its glorious first bloom. As we feel the emergence of new energy and new life on the other side of Easter, and as we emerge from a period of disorder, feel in your heart the bringing forward of the abundance of Christ consciousness that is our sacred duty and our privilege as vessels of the Holy Spirit. And we release this prayer into the care and keeping of the ever-present loving God. Amen. So today's chosen daily word is pray for others, because we have two things to center in today's service. One is our core value of abundance that the spiritual ministry team has focused on this month. And the second is the dedication of our prayer chaplains who have held this community in deep prayer for decades, but in particular during this time, and have trained to renew their dedication to the consciousness of prayer. Pray for others. I affirm God's good, knowing all is well. Prayer connects me to the presence and power of God within me and all others. A heartfelt prayer is the first gift I offer a friend or loved one who is facing a challenge or concern. If I receive news from a dear one in need of prayer, I begin by aligning my heart and mind with God. I awaken to the presence of peace, wholeness, abundance, and strength within. My prayer acknowledges and affirms the same qualities in myself and the one for whom I pray. I complete my sacred prayer time with gratitude, releasing any attachments to specific results. Divine presence knows what others need and fulfills those needs in the best way possible. I give thanks to the power of prayer and leave the rest to God. Inspired by Thessalonians 5:25, beloved, pray for us. I give thanks for the power of prayer and leave the rest to God. And that is what you, dear prayer chaplains, have been commissioned to do. And in the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah is asked by God, who shall I send and who will go for us? And Isaiah responds, here I am, send me. And together we gather and celebrate you all who has also heeded that call to Isaiah, who have also stood up and said, here I am, Lord, send me. And we will begin your dedication with beautiful song from Carol and Susan.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in darkened pain, my hand will save. Finest bread, stars of night, I will make the darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, as you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will lead the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, as you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart.
Beloved prayer chaplains, on behalf of the entire community, I know we are so blessed that you have stepped up to take that call and to take that place of Isaiah for each and every one of us in this community. And we are honored to bless you and to dedicate you in your service to uplift the consciousness of us all. So heeding the call to be a prayer chaplain means you were first willing to participate in 11 hours of training. In addition, you've committed to demonstrate an active commitment to our ministry's beliefs and principles. Hold a spiritual space of possibility and abundance for others and for yourself, knowing and trusting that God is always in charge. Prayer, both with yourself and with others. You've agreed to lovingly listen, having and demonstrating a genuine interest in the well-being of our congregants and the other prayer chaplains, and to hold all that is sacred in strict confidence. You have agreed to put this commitment into action by putting feet on your prayers through our fifth principle by serving at 2 Sunday services a month, maintaining communication with the prayer chaplain ministry director and staff as needed on a regular basis, to attend all meetings and annual training sessions, and be punctual and actively participate in all discussions. In the awareness of the activity of the Holy Spirit which has led you to this moment of commitment, I invite you to your heart space. And if your heart says yes, I ask that you respond with the words, I am, to these questions. I ask you to rise. Are you willing to accept this commitment and dedication? Are you willing to remember to open a space for God no matter what? Are you willing to do your best to stay prayed up? Are you willing to support the other members of the prayer chaplain team? Are you willing to practice self-care? Blessed ones, you have said yes. I will create that space of compassion and love and grace and prayer for anyone seeking it. And I know and affirm that your dedication and your love and your consciousness will have ripple effects throughout this community and throughout the world in ways we may never realize, but we know in our deepest heart. And for that, on behalf of our entire spiritual community, we say a deep and heartfelt thank you. And with that, I invite John Claude up to bless you all with recognition and a rose. And thank you, John Claude, for taking on the leadership and the training of the prayer chaplains during this time and blessing us with your presence and consciousness as well.
Before I get to the announcement of the prayer chaplain members, I would like to thank you, Shara, for this particular dedication. It means a lot to us. And Susan and Carol for bringing that song of why we're here. And I'm humbled to be part of this ministry. Just wonderful people, just to serve you. And during this time of pandemic, when it's difficult to hold a training program, we endured it through Zoom. And we spent so many hours on Zoom, and it committed themselves to doing it. And so we have new chaplains that have dedicated themselves and returning dedications too. So with that, I'm going to call each individual that's here. We have a few that are not present due to prior commitments or personal reasons for this pandemic situation. But as I call them up, Mary Jean, our spiritual director, is going to present them with the rose. And what I would suggest is to hold your applause till the end. They will be gathering back here, and then we can give them an applause then. So as I call the names up, please appreciate these people that have dedicated and heard the calling. Ani Bazensky. Barbara Greenfield, she's not able to be here today. Neither is Bonnie Goslin. But they still need to be recognized. Donna Evans. Jack Ragland. I don't see him here. Okay. Jean Gardner said she couldn't be here. Jim Perry. Mayor Stevens. Myra Wilkinson, she can't be here. Pam Willer. Patty Higgins. Penny Winkler. Stephanie Aho. Susan Gilmore. And myself, John Claude.
And oh.
Momentarily, we're going to take our masks off so we can get a photo.
I will say it took the prayer chaplains to bring back congregational singing. That was a beautiful song. And I know you will delight in joining me in offering our unity blessing, which is we love you, we bless you, we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. Oh. Let's warm up. Let's get prayed up for those that get prayed up for us. Jean-Claude, that means you too. We love you. We bless you. We truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. God bless. Amen. And now Carol and Susan will bless us with another song.
Be still now, come apart for a while, let go of all control, surrender, surrender to the mind of God. Be still now, come apart for a while, let go of all control. Surrender, surrender to the mind of God. I surrender it all. I surrender it all. I surrender it all. I surrender it all to the mind of God. I will now breathe a sigh, feel a smile, relieve my burdened soul. Surrender, surrender to the mind of God. I will now breathe a sigh, feel a smile, relieve my burdened soul. Surrender, surrender to the mind of God. I surrender it all. I surrender it all. I surrender it all. I surrender it all to the mind of God. My heart is open, my mind is clear, peace is here. I release my worries and my fears. Only God I hear, only God is here, only joy is here, only love is here, and I surrender. I surrender it all. I surrender it all. I surrender it all. I surrender it all to the mind of God.
Thank you so much for that beautiful and original song. And let us move with that song into our time of meditation and bring that surrender forward. Imagine yourself surrendering it all to the mind and heart and love of God. Let it all slip away. Surrender your fears. Surrender your anxieties. Surrender your need to look good at all costs and see yourself being held in a field of infinite, sacred, and protective love. In God and in this community, allow yourself to relax and let go. All is well. And as you unburden yourselves and give it all to the higher power, feel yourself becoming malleable, pliable, flexible, in order for your will to be in alignment with God's will, in order for yourself to be in service of your true self. And in that consciousness, allow and surrender yourself to the heart of God and see yourself moving through the eye of the needle into the kingdom of God and divine abundance. And in this field of grace, there is abundance beyond our wildest dreams. And today I ask you to pray into that abundance, to pray in an abundant way that maybe is different. Let's be abundant with our prayers. Pray for your neighbors, your friends, strangers you pass on the street. Pray for the unborn soul who will marry your great-grandchild. Pray for the health of the planet. Pray for the shriveled vegetable you look over to take one that looks better. Pray for beings with levels of consciousness beyond what we can know or imagine. Pray for those with different political views. Pray for the rising of consciousness that will bless us all as we emerge in love as a human species. Be invested in the fulfillment and peace and abundant blessings, known and unknown. Pray with abundance in the silence. And let us keep this consciousness of prayer raised within our hearts so we can be the servants of a higher power with each and every breath. And we release this prayer and this meditation into the care and keeping of the loving that supports us all. And so it is, and we will be blessed with more original music from Susan.
Everything I need is right in front of me. Every place I stand is holy ground. Everyone I meet has something beautiful for me. Everywhere I go, it's all around. There is something sacred here, something beautiful, something real and true, something powerful. There is something sacred here, something wonderful that only I can do. There is something sacred here. If I ran around and did 100 million tasks, didn't do what God sent me to do, then I will have done nothing to express the depth of holiness that God made me to use. There is something sacred here, something beautiful, something real and true, something powerful. There is something sacred here, something wonderful that only I can do. There is something sacred here. We don't know just how much time we have, but there's one thing we can do. We can hold a heart of passion for everyone, and every day we have to let God's love come shining through. There is something sacred here, something beautiful, something real and true, something powerful. There is something sacred here, something wonderful that only we can do. There is something sacred here.
Oh, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Carol. There is something sacred here. You know, it's palpable, it's arising. And those of you at home, I bet you can feel it too. And be please on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, send a heart, send a comment. Let us know how you are being touched and fed, so we can make sure that we keep you in this circle of sacredness as you hold us. I'm going to time my talk today because I heard that in my zeal to be a new minister on Palm Sunday, I went very long. So I've got a little accountability here, a little electronic accountability. And I'd like to start with my story of how I got to Unity of Tustin, because it's a story of prayer. It's a story of prayer and surrender. It was only about 18 months ago, like many transformational stories, I was going through the dark night of the soul, the third most difficult time of my entire life. Interpersonal dynamics left me deeply disillusioned and disoriented. And in March of 2020, I started my own LLC to do consulting and training, mostly in person. So God has a great sense of humor. And I've loved my career as a psychotherapist and administrator, but I couldn't imagine going back. I couldn't imagine going back to my norms. But what was next was absolutely unclear. It actually seemed impossible. And it was a hard time, hard to function. Had to tell my kids, don't worry, there's no one, I'm not sick, I'm just going through a process, and know that everything will be okay. And luckily, as a spiritually oriented psychotherapist, I knew a thing or two about these spaces. As I fell apart, I knew that was allowing something to be reborn. So I got a good therapist and I started to explore the situation, and I get to question, Spirit, what are you pulling me towards? What is on the other side of the eye of the needle? What is it that I am meant to bring and give forward? What is the reason for this suffering? How can I make meaning of it? And I came up with a very important awareness. And my awareness was in my lineage as far back as anyone could see. The heart's desire of a female had never been centered. And even in my own life, I somehow tried to fulfill my dreams in what was left over, without asking anyone to accommodate the longing in my own heart. So I went into prayer and I said, God, what is my heart's desire? And the answer was so immediate: to pursue the unity ministerial path. And to be honest, I had known that calling. It had been alive in me for 7 years. But the part that was taboo for me was centering that, because it seemed logistically impossible. What was going to happen? Was my husband going to sell his business and move to a new state with me? Were we going to separate and live apart? Were my children going to leave their schools? Was that in their highest good or not? It led to that analysis paralysis. And in the grace of God, it started to deconstruct me. And in prayer, I don't know about you, but sometimes you pray and sometimes you pray. Sometimes the portals are aligned and you feel yourself in that oneness of spirit. And I was in one of those times, and with the deepest sincerity, I said, God, I do not know, but I will do my part and I will put it in your hands to figure out the logistics. And then suddenly there was a light at the end of that dark, long tunnel, because the only avenue available was finishing my prerequisites in a 3-year academic ministerial course. But that was the path, and I said yes, and I had conversations with my family, and I started to take all the courses I could online, and I moved forward. And then things started happening that I could have never predicted or controlled or strategized in my wildest dreams. Reverend Clive, myself, and a colleague were developing a series of retreats in New Mexico to start in May 2020. Another God's joke. But we were still meeting to find out how this would be possible, and I let everyone know about my dedication and my sincere moving forward in my ministerial path. And within weeks, there was a conversation of Reverend Clive saying he would be doing less hours and there might be room for me to do field licensing here at Unity of Tustin. I sent my resume and cover letter to the board, and we started to have some conversations on Zoom and personally, and it seemed to be a good fit. Then Clive discerned that his future lay elsewhere. And I didn't see how this would all make sense. But the board was committed to that triangle model, to a ministerial team, to doing things differently in different times. And in the divine unfolding that is only possible when we surrender, within 6 months of my commending my spirit to the hands of God, I had the privilege to be asked to be part of the spiritual ministerial team in this community, in this dynamic, vibrant, loving, innovative, amazing community, in this garden, filled with sacredness and holiness and beauty that takes my breath away when I drive in. In this part of the country, that is one of the most desirable in the entire planet, 15 minutes from the Pacific Ocean. You can't make this stuff up. You can only live it through surrender. And I am beyond grateful and beyond amazed at what is more possible than we have any idea. We have no idea what God can do when we put our lives and souls in that realm of the infinite possibilities through the eye of the needle into grace. And in that field of grace, it's like we are one of the same fabric, where our sincere surrender gives the operating instructions for the universe to give us our next step as the next indicated thing. Divine order unfolds by us standing still and responding to God coming as our life, like Susan's song. And we just say yes, and then yes, and then yes. But the key to this field of grace is surrender, or what Paul more poetically said in his letter to the Philippians, self-emptying. And that is what Jesus taught us to do, taught us to self-empty. And the self-emptying of Christ begins that Trinity flow of love that is the undergirding of all of creation. That is what sets grace into motion. And Cynthia Bourgeault shows us the many ways that Jesus teaches this in the Bible. His first miracle is the abundance of wine at a wedding. At the Sea of Galilee, the abundance is manifested as 12 extra baskets of food. He is anointed by Mary Magdalene with oils that are worth a year's wages. And the other disciples grumble at the waste that could have been used to the ministry, and he says, "This act will be remembered wherever my teachings are shared." This generosity, this surrender, this trust, this self-emptying is our key to the kingdom of God. His last words to Mary Magdalene after his resurrection is, "Do not cling." Do not cling. Let go and let God. But it's very difficult to let go and let God in a culture that teaches us to accumulate, to acquire, to produce, to tell us that more is better. Richard Rohr tells us it's hard to recognize this unsustainable and unhappy trap because it's the only game in town. When we see our parents and colleagues performing multiple duties and running ragged, the storyline we take on is, I produce, therefore I am. I consume, therefore I am. I have, therefore I am. As today's modern answer to Descartes' I think, therefore I am. These beliefs are terribly mistaken, but we have a hard time finding the truth underneath the clutter. So there is a long-standing practice in the Christian tradition that helps us participate in not clinging and being pass-through entities of abundance. Does anyone know what that practice is called? Tithing. So the collective blood pressure might have gone up a couple of bits. I'm talking about money. This is something we generally don't like to talk about, even as psychotherapists. We tend to get very little training about money and about sex. But these are the powers that have so much energy and then start to run us unconsciously. And there are so many ways we self-empty. It's with our treasures, it's with our time, it's with our talents, it's with our love, it's with our compassion, it's with our prayer, it's with our care. But I'll focus on our treasures because it is so underexpressed. And I'll talk at some point about the sex part once I have an ironclad contract. So we'll start here, okay? It's already a risk. But, what we know is that money is for, see, Tony, you can't stop me. It's the lifeblood of our society, and it is what is required for spiritual community. But we also know that it's a hard thing to navigate because we're not sure if money is holy. We don't know if it's sinful. We don't know if it's neutral. But we do know that following the teachings of Jesus is the conviction that one finds life by giving it away, that we must lose our life in order to find it. And generosity, mercy, compassion, letting go, these are qualities of being Christ-like. And each of us has something to give others. And the reason behind this is because it feeds the communities where we get our belonging. This is a place where we feel our belonging, where we feel community, where we get prayed up, where we get reminded of the eternal that matters most, where we feed ourselves spiritually. This is a place where we can give in sacred service and we can stretch ourselves by doing things we have never done before. And in that process, saying yes to the unknown, what we're not sure we can do, we can continue to grow and evolve and spiritually develop. And we're also, when we contribute to this community, we are also contributing to the unknown. Because there is something emerging. There is something emerging. I hear you telling me this, and I am feeling it. We felt it Easter with the resurrection and the children coming back on campus with their delight. We most certainly felt it yesterday with that beautiful, beautiful ceremony for Joan Hill. And one of her children said rightly, whose love, her legacy of love will uplift and bless generations, with that S being plural. This is something that is emerging, and in our faith we are contributing to a community that is moving through the eye of the needle into the field of infinite possibilities, to be of service in a way known and unknown that will show itself to us, and we will continue to marvel at the grace and divine unfolding of God. And I am walking shoulder to shoulder with you in this. I am not a perfect tither. I have tithed perfectly at some points not perfectly. Now I have the phone line to the tithing police has been busy, so I don't know if my ministerial studies count or not. These are hard things. We wrestle. We're in the middle. We do our best, and what matters most is that we do things with sincerity. And not everyone is going to tithe 10%. Some people will, and they want to do it right away, and they're the type that likes to jump right in the deep end of the pool. And some of us like the zero entry. step by step finding our way. But what is important is that we live this conversation of generosity and self-emptying and flow in a level that stretches, but that is prayerfully right for each and every one of us. And from my point of view, again, I don't know what the tithing police would say about this, there are also seasons. There may be a season when you're raising children and barely making it. There may be seasons when you've lost your job. There may be seasons when you're in crushing debt and the job is to responsibly get out of that first, that you are in a place of receivership. And that is not the time to stretch yourself financially. Spiritual principle in its maturity is ambiguous. It's not black and white, all or nothing. There is that in-betweenness. But for those of us who are not in financial crisis, how do we share our abundance? And how can we stretch ourselves and have faith that the trans-rational generosity makes room for the flow and trust of more God? So what I'm going to share with you are some simple recommendations from the Unity movement. So one of the first recommendations from the Unity movement is whatever you give, could you commit to doing it automatically? Could you commit to going on our website and entering your credit card or using the Shelby Next Act or texting a very simple number and making sure that your contribution is taken week after week, whether you attend or not, or whether you get around to it or not? And this is important because when I first started tithing, I had no problem. But then if I missed a week, and God forbid if I missed 2 weeks, writing that check was painful. And I would think of all of the possible indulgences me and my family could do, but that we didn't do. And it was like almost an affront to my basic self. So I did put things on auto pay as an act of self-compassion. This is not always easy. It is countercultural to be generous. It is countercultural in our modern society. The next recommendation is if you're given a small percentage of your income and you can give more, think about doubling it. Think about adding 1 to 2 percentages of your annual income. And if you're interested, just experiment with tithing for a period of, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks and just see what happens. We can also give to the spiritual community by making a request or giving an asset or gifting stocks, which also has capital gain tax benefits, just saying. These are other possibilities. And finally, for those of you who do tithe, I offer on behalf of all of us a special bow of gratitude. At my former church at Unity Spiritual Center in Albuquerque, we would have something called each Sunday a moment of appreciation, where we would appreciate a person, a ministry for their sacred service or how they went above and beyond. And at one board meeting, I said, why don't we do a moment of appreciation for all the tithers? And I got this look of horror from the board, as if I had suggested we feast on the children. So I won't ask you tithers to stand, although I'm willing to have a conversation because I don't know why that's a bad idea. I really don't. But thank you. Thank you because it is your generosity, commitment, and service that has sustained this community for decades, and especially during the time of COVID, where we've gone underground to transform and arise in a new way. Deep gratitude. What I can say for my part is that my commitment to Unity of Tustin was to increase my weekly contribution by 25%, and make sure it was on auto pay. And I ask you to prayerfully discern what is yours to do, and to know that all you do is appreciated. And if you want to continue the conversation, process some of this, talk about it, contact me. And we'll set up a phone call, or someone on the board or the spiritual ministry team, and we will keep this dialogue alive in love and in hope and in joy, because that is what it is all about. You know, for me, sharing my abundance is sometimes stressful. And there's a teaching that if you can't give with joy, don't give at all. And this weighed on me, because I would ask myself, am I giving in joy? Is that what's actually happening? Sometimes it didn't feel that way. And during one of these internal conversations, I said to myself, well, Shara, then just stop giving altogether. And this voice of knowing whooshed up inside of me, urgent, imploring me, no, no way, no way. And I found my joy. It was buried, but that joy was there all along. I'm going to end with a story. Each year at my children's elementary school, our students would do a performance of the folktale Stone Soup, which I've also discovered is going to happen with the sharing of our talents through Amy coming up shortly. So in this folktale, a hungry stranger stumbles into a village wanting to eat, but no one wants to share or acknowledge the possibility of abundance. The stranger announces that she has what the community needs: a special stone that holds the power to create a hearty, delicious, and nourishing soup. To prove the stone's power, she asks for a pot, fills it with water, lights a fire, and ceremoniously drops that stone into the soup and starts stirring. And she says, some carrots and potatoes would certainly make this soup even better. And before long, carrots and potatoes are added. And some onions and beans would make it spicy. So spices and onions and beans. And then before you know it, the villagers are adding things that didn't seem to be available not too long before. The soup gets more delicious and more hearty, and a beautiful table is set. Bowls and spoons are put out. And the whole entire village, the whole entire community, through the shared generosity of spirit, enjoys a feast that nourishes the body, the heart, the mind, the soul, and the spirit. This story is for all of us. This story is for me, and this story is for you. Because you are in possession of that sacred stone of abundance. God bless. 10 seconds to spare.
As Jim mentioned earlier, we're changing things up a little bit in our service, and one of the things we're doing is welcoming anyone who's here for the first time or maybe has returned after one visit. We'd like to take this opportunity, if you're willing, to raise your hand. Christy has a welcome packet for you, and we would like to give you our community blessing if you're willing to raise your hand. Anyone? Welcome. We want you to know about our community. Keep your hands up over there so Christy can get to you. There's information in there. There's also a form you can fill out. If you want to be on our mailing list, we would love to have more information about you so that we can reach out to you. And we want you to know that today we don't expect you to participate in our time of tithing and giving, although after that talk, I'm sure they feel a little bit like that doesn't feel good. But nevertheless, you're our guest today. So let's do our blessing like we did earlier for the prayer chaplains. We love you. We bless you. We truly appreciate you. And we behold the Christ you are. And so, as I said earlier, I really have not much to say about tithing and abundance and giving today because Shara really covered it all. And I'm so blessed that you went there, Shara, because it is a hard thing to talk about. But it's a necessary thing to talk about. In our church, we teach it as part of your spiritual work, as part of the spiritual path is giving back to that which feeds you spiritually. I just quickly want to mention, if there's another way you can give back is to mention to people that we are hosting celebrations of life and weddings here. Nothing is more powerful than word of mouth, right? If you tell people you know, Jeff and Maricela are doing their part. They're going to get married here in August. I'm not asking you to get married here. But if you know someone that's considering a wedding, or if you know someone, I've had a few people inquire about celebrations of life now that it's time that we can finally come back together again. So I ask you to pass that word along to anyone you know. So let's say the love offering blessing together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And now Susan has another gift for us. This is a song written by Amy and Carol. Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
When all my dreams are gone, when my thoughts don't make sense anymore, somewhere inside, some deep inner guide tells me that there's something more. What do I have to lose if I lay down my burdens and run? No secrets to hide, with arms open wide, to God's full embrace I will come. 'Cause the song of life, it sings me, singing deep within my soul. Like a bird on the wind I am free, when I let God's song sing me. And the song of love, it brings me all the peace my heart can hold. There's such beauty in life's melody, when I let God's song sing me. It's been here all along, saw each wave but could not know the sea. There's so much to say that words slip away. The forest is more than one tree, and the song of life, it brings me all the peace my heart can hold. Like a bird on the wind I am free, when I let God's song sing me. And the song of love, it brings me all the peace my heart can hold. There's such beauty in life's melody, when I let God's song sing me. Dance the dance, sing the song, let it flow. Creation sings along. Trust and know that the the song of love it brings me, all the peace my heart can hold. There's such beauty in love's melody when I let good songs sing me, when I let good songs sing me, when I let good songs sing me.
Wonderful to have Susan K. Wyatt back with us. I was trying to remember how long ago it's been, and it's been a while, but thank you, Susan, for being with us today. And so Jim wanted me to remind you that he will be at the round table there, the round table discussion of anyone who wants to talk about the bylaws. It's one of his favorite subjects to discuss. And I also want to remind you, if you would like to pray with someone after the service, you have the mother load today. They're all here, so you can pray with anyone. So as we close our service, let's say the unity, greatest prayer of affirmation in the unity movement. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Go forth and be abundant.